In a game where number one is the only number that counts, these men are the best. They're the best at high speed. Their commitment has to be total. Their bravery has to be complete. But the mark of these giants is their ability to improvise. Improvisation is the name of the game when you come to the place they are about to race on today.
Here is a bulletin from CBS News. Word from the Vatican moments ago that Pope Paul is dead. The leader of the Roman Catholic Church was 80 years old. Earlier today,
one, the pit road is an armed camp. Two different teams of competitors out here today, and they're angry. And two is the story of this race. Let's deal first with the race itself, Dan. 200 miles, 100 laps, hot.
2 miles per lap, a D-shaped track, 22-degree bankings in the turns, even a 12-degree banking at the start-finish line. It's the fastest track on the USAC Championship Trail, and it's not the smoothest track. It's very rough, very difficult to set up the chassis.
4-cylinder versus 8-cylinder, and it's really boiled over here. The anger came out in the qualifying today. The 4-cylinders electing to run at about 75 miles an hour. The 8-cylinders running at a full bore of over 200 miles per hour. Dan, tell us just a bit about it.
Well, it's a real modern-day protest. I'm surprised they didn't carry placards, but it amounts to complaining about the fact that everyone during qualification must carry a boost limiting device, and it seems to penalize the 4-cylinder cars more than the 8s. The 4-cylinder boys feel that they just don't have a chance in qualifying, and they're trying to get attention to that problem.
There's a lot more to that story. We're going to be covering it in the course of our coverage today. In the pits for us, let's go to Paul Page.
This is the pole car of Tom Sneva, the fastest qualifier here today at 210.7 miles an hour on this high bank speedway. But there will be another interesting story developing in the pits today. There is a new USAC rule to try and help clear up scoring problems that develop when the yellow light is turned down. What they are going to do is keep the pace car out on the track and close the pits until the cars have grouped up behind the pace car. Then when they are ready, they will open the pits and the cars will be allowed in. That should mean quite a dash when it actually develops. Ken?
Thank you, Paul. Nice to have Paul Page with us. Brock Yates is at Talladega, Alabama, and incidentally there at the halfway mark, Cale Yarborough is in front, Lenny Pond is in second. 2 weeks from this past Saturday, you'll see the highlights of the Talladega 500 on the CBS Sports Spectacular, along, of course, with the Traverse from Saratoga, and what a great horse race that's going to be. It's going to be a busy weekend of racing, the 19th and 20th, with Talladega and the Traverse on Saturday, and on Sunday, USAC racing live from Milwaukee. That's what's coming up on CBS just 2 weeks away. I think perhaps the biggest story of the year, Dan, has been the story of Al Unser, a guy coming in with a brand new car and winning 2 of the 500-mile races that USAC runs. They run 3 each year. Al Unser is a very special guy to many of us. And earlier we had an opportunity to give you an in-depth look at one of the great racing champions of all time. For years, the Unsers have been the first family of American motorsport. Dad, Mom, Al, Louis the mechanic, Bobby. A 4th brother, Jerry, lost his life at Indianapolis. Car 56 had a new wild one in it back in 1957. It was Al Unser tearing up those bullpens in New Mexico in races where oftentimes the purse was worth about as much as the trophy itself. The Unsers, they'd come out of Colorado Springs, Colorado in the shadow of Pikes Peak, and that truly is where the Unser family learned to drive. Al won it twice. In 1965, Al Unser went to Indianapolis for the first time, qualified 32nd, finished 9th, Rookie of the Year. Since then, he's gone on to win Indy 3 times, and now could become the first driver in history to win the United States Auto Club's Triple Crown. After 21 years, now a 3-time Indianapolis champion, 35 United States Auto Club championship car victories, it all has to be pretty gratifying, Al.
Well, Ken, it really is to have a racing career like I've had. It's fantastic. But what makes it all neat is I got a son, 16 years old, that just won his first main event in the sprint cars the other night and did a fantastic job.
Did you watch him?
No, I wished I could have. I don't know if I'm ready to handle all that. I watched him the week before, and he ran second, and he almost won the feature. But it's just the greatest feeling in the world to see your son out there doing the same thing you love, you know, and there's no match to it.
And the lineage will continue. Unsers, true kings of American motor speedways. Al Unser has qualified well for today's race. He is in the 4th row. Outside, he will be starting in 8th position in car number 2. And there you see the national standings going into today's 11th event of the USAC Championship Trail. Tommy Sneva's first, Unser's in second, Dallenbach is in third. Incidentally, there are 400 points to the winner of today's race. You USAC aficionados, it's 400 points for today's race here. It's based upon purse. And there you see the remainder of the top 10 in this great competition of the United States Auto Club. And these guys are just about set to go here live, the Texas 200 from the Texas World Speedway. Gridded right now, 22 cars strong for the start of the race. We've just had a mini Indy race which had 8 cars together at the finish. Then one car took a terrible crash, rolling over about 10 times. The driver was all right, but it was some race. Harold McDonald victorious over Bill Alsop in second place and John Wood in third. And now here we see the Indianapolis cars capable over 200 miles an hour. And here's Tommy Sneva's car number 1 on the pole. Now remember, Sneva has not won a race this year, but he's number 1 on the championship trail. He is consistent. Tom Sneva's number 1, the pole sitter for today's race, qualified at 210.773. And you know who this is. This is A.J. Foyt. Won here in 1976 in a 150-mile event, but he's won so many races. And there's the giant himself. A.J. moving his umbrella, trying to keep a little bit of the heat out of the cockpit of his Foyt Coyote Gilmore Racing Team car. A.J. Foyt will start second. He qualified, Dan, at 208 miles an hour.
My old teammate, A.J. Foyt.
Your old teammate?
Yes.
At Le Mans.
We shared the car at Le Mans.
That's right.
Yes.
Row number 2. Now here's a story. Rick Mears, number 7. This is the kid Roger Penske wanted a motorcycle ride with, liked, and hired him, and he's won 2 races this year. Sophomore driver from Phoenix, Arizona, Penske Cosworth, and he's qualified at 208 miles an hour. He'll be starting this number 7 in the 3rd position. Flanking him, one of the most likable people, but certainly a firebrand of the racetrack. It's Johnny Rutherford of Fort Worth, Texas, the only 2-time winner here at the Texas World Speedway. And there you see him, just about ready to hitch up the helmet and get the cockpit set up and get into this automobile race.
Johnny has the spirit. He's a perennial rookie. He really has a spirit.
Row number 3, starting in the 5th position for today's race, will be the gentleman from Colorado, formerly out of New Jersey, and there is Wally Dallenbach in car number 6, a McLaren Cosworth, who qualified at 201 miles per hour. I'd sure like to see him get a win today.
I think Judd Phillips has the car working the best that Wally has had so far this year. He's very pleased with it.
You're watching live as the drivers prepare for the start of this 200-mile USAC race, and there's a car. Gee, I don't know who that belongs to, but they say Bobby Unser is going to drive it. Dan Gurney, it says there on the right side. From Albuquerque, New Mexico, 2-time Indianapolis winner, Unser, ready to go. His brother also in this race, and Eagle Cosworth. What about it, Daniel? Is this thing ready to win?
You bet. You bet. It's a long one, 200 miles. We have 5 cars to go, right?
That's right. Let's go back to row 4 after we took a look at Dan Gurney's Eagle that Bobby Unser will be chauffeuring today. In the 7th position is car number 8. Brownsburg, Indiana driver, the Fletcher Racing Team car for Pancho Carter. And there is Pancho getting ready to go. He's due for a win. He drove for you last year. This car ran very fast in practice yesterday. It was the 2nd fastest in practice.
I think that Pancho is particularly good on the high bank tracks. He's super in sprint cars, and he was going very well last year here in our car.
Now notice they're putting that cool hat over the top of his head. That's that system to keep the body a little cooler.
It has the capillary tubes with the ice water being pumped through it, and I'm sure it helps somewhat.
Starting beside him today will be Al Unser in the car number 2 as they continue to try to wrestle Pancho Carter into his... And there's Gordon Johncock getting ready. Remember now, he is one of those 4-cylinder powered Drake Offenhauser people, and he will be starting well back on the grid because he didn't run very fast. Earlier, we talked to Gordon Johncock, who was the spokesman for the 4-cylinder people, about his concerns, why they ran this protest of slow laps today. And Johncock was very lucid. He wanted to talk about this subject, and here's what Gordon Johncock had to say.
We got to make sure, ladies and gentlemen, that all... Well, I really don't know. We have no chance whatsoever of qualifying against the V8s. I think, in fact, here at Texas, I don't think the four-cylinder cars are even going to qualify tomorrow. I think we're just going to draw for positions. There's no use going out there and taking a chance of blowing the engine or losing it, trying to run hard, you know. There's no use of it because we have no chance of whatsoever of qualifying up front. So I think the four-cylinder guys are just going to get together and kind of start according to the speeds that we've been running in practice.
So, in other words, you're willing to give up the front of the field for this race?
Well, that's definitely true. You know, I mean, I can go out and qualify maybe half of the V8s, maybe. That's all. But what's the use? This is a wide racetrack. You have lots of passing room here, so that's the way. I think that's the way we're going to do it. We're just not going to qualify. There's no use of going out and wasting our time and maybe an engine or something.
Gordon Johncock, he will be starting in the 15th position. He will be in row number 8 for today's race. Johncock will be starting 15th on the grid. And there you see some of the other cars now preparing. Let's go to Paul Page in the pits.
Here is this controversy as represented by two individuals. Pat Patrick, you own Gordon Johncock's car. It is you people that have the complaint here today. What is it?
Well, Paul, we don't really have a complaint here. We have a complaint in general. Our sponsor, North American Van Lines, is unhappy the way the rule restrictions are structured and have asked us to take a definite position in an effort to change the fuel rule so that the four-cylinder cars be more competitive.
On the other hand, Jim Hall owns Al Unser's car. It is an 8-cylinder car. It has won the last 3 500-mile races. How do you respond to their complaint, Jim?
Well, of course, we feel like the rules are written for the year and that we all came in knowing what the rules were. And we feel like we've got a commitment to our sponsors and to the public to run the best race we can under the regulations. And we all need to know what the regulations are, and I think it's been a fair attempt to make fair regulations. Now, this is a protest that these people are unhappy, and we do have a forum for that, and I'm not sure that you know, a public protest is a way to settle it. I'd rather see it handled through the channels of the club.
And that seems to be one of the things that the drivers are saying. They don't want the race fan to suffer. Back to you, Ken.
Well, that story is going to continue to boil and bubble for some time because all of the four-cylinders ran very, very slow. Their speeds were like 93, 87 miles per hour today, and it's only, they say, phase 1 of their protest. We'll look at that more through today and on our upcoming coverage from Milwaukee. We'll be back in just a moment with a live Texas 200. Driver not in the field today, and a very popular driver here is the command to give the engines a fire is Danny Ungaius.
One of the great patrons in the sport.
Here's the command to fire engines. Ungaius blew an engine in practice yesterday just before qualifying.
Start your engine.
Erupted another engine, and Danny Ungaius, who won here earlier this year, will not get a chance to go. And now those engines begin to come to full song.
Danny did turn fastest unofficial time during practice, so it's, I know they really feel bad.
Terrible break. Danny didn't want to talk about it. He said perhaps after the race today he would chat with us, but he was very upset. He wanted to get out here and go, and they've lost 2. How much do those engines cost?
Well, a real severe blow-up, such as our cars suffered in Atlanta, will cost close to $30,000 to repair.
It's an awful lot for an engine. Here's the field rolling out. And that's part of this controversy, too, isn't it? The cost of these engines and trying to make them live.
Well, yes, we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg, so to speak, with this controversy. There's plenty of food for controversy in racing.
Now the field rolling down pit road. 22 cars have qualified, and we'll take a look at the remainder of the starting lineup here in a moment. The field breaks down today. There are 9 V8s in the field and 13 of the Ford Cosworths lining up. The Ford Cosworths in front on the pole, Sneva at 210 miles an hour. And the leaders of the protest are back at 106 miles an hour. Jim McElreath, Vern Chupan at 105 with one of the four-cylinder Drake cars. Mike Mosley in row 8 with Gordon Johncock beside him. They came in about 97 miles an hour. We know how fast those cars can run. So there you see the row of Johnny Parsons. And here's row 7, the Vern Chupan, the Australian driver, and Mike Mosley. I'd like to see Mike get a good day here. Here is row 8, Gordon Johncock. What a surprise to see him back that far. And Larry Cannon and his machine starting beside him. Then comes Bagley, the new driver who won the Mini Indy Series last year, and Spike Gilhousen, Rookie of the Year a couple of years back, and Cliff Hugel from Canada, and Steve Krisaloff, who is the other half of the Pat Patrick team with Gordon Johncock. There's row 11, Joe Saldana, great dirt track driver, and Sheldon Kinser. In fact, 2 excellent dirt drivers who have a great future on the back of the field. Larry Dixon not here today, one of our favorites for many, many years, since way back when he came east. Saw him run on the half miles back there. He is not here, and he's had a pretty good season to date.
Ken, part of this controversy is a result of a safety consideration. They tried to slow down qualifying speeds. As you know, the track record is held by Mario Andretti with a four-cylinder Eagle from 1973, 214 miles per hour, and they just didn't want to go that fast, and that's been part of the problem that they're trying to overcome, and there isn't a very equitable way to do it where it doesn't hurt someone.
One of the things that I have a feeling about here is that there's been so many years when the V8s were on the bottom side. I can remember when A.J. Foyt in 73, it was up at Indianapolis, 33rd and on the bubble, and there was a whole lot of work done there, and they finally not only gained equity, but they seem to have a bit of an edge right now, and that's what's upset the four-cylinders.
Well, they do have an edge, and when turbocharging first came in, why it was done so with the four-cylinder, and at that time all of a sudden they had an edge over the V8s, which were dominant before turbocharging. So it cycles up and down.
If one has compassion for anyone in this game, it would be for Richard King, the head of USAC. What a hard year it has been for him. He lost all of his officers, the top cadre that he had in that terrible plane crash shortly before Indianapolis. He's a very smooth guy, and he seems to be able to handle these things. He's so gentle, but he is firm, and it'll be interesting to see how this comes to a head with Richard King. There's a meeting, August 18th of the committee that will respond to this issue.
I feel it would be wrong to blame USAC. I know that they're sincerely trying to do the best they can for racing, but the solution to the problem is not readily apparent. That's the big problem.
Well, here's the field getting set for a start. Again, it is a 2-mile track. Let's get off the controversy and onto the track now. It's about 2 degrees, just enough to let the water run off on the backstretch. George Snyder, who brought out one of the Penske cars. Penske put 3 cars in the race. That car has dropped off and come down on the inside of the track. That's a 22-degree bank as you look at turn number 3. And that, of course, is where Al Unser crashed and was hospitalized in practice in the first race we came to here at Texas this year. It's also where Rutherford punctured a tire and took that hellacious spin and crash up into the wall in turn 4. And it's a very quick part of the track. Now, the main straightaway is D-shaped. It's kind of curved. It's 12-degree bank, and you can get a tremendous amount of speed, and it would indicate to us that the fastest part of the track would be going into turn number 1. It's a little bit of bank to help you. It's also a bump in turn number 1 that you'll see. Now they're giving the motion to bring the cars together. They're lining up one more lap, and they will be racing. That bump, you will see them getting a little loose down here in turn number 1 from time to time. That front row again, that's Tom Sneva on the point, A.J. Foyt flanking him. In row 2, it's Rick Mears and Johnny Rutherford. And then back there in row 3 on the inside, you see Wally Dallenbach and Bobby Unser. And then in row 4, Pancho Carter and Al Unser. Row 5 has been George Snyder, Dick Simon. As Snyder drops down, this will bring the other cars in that row just up. They don't do a crisscross here. They just bring them up.
Now, in the race, they don't have to carry the turbocharger limiting device, so I think we'll see Gordon Johncock making his way to the front.
That's Snyder out back. Bad break for George Snyder. Texan, good racer. Remember, A.J. Foyt brought him along. Had a lot of hopes for this driver, and when the opportunity came today, Penske looking around, he popped Schneider in. I'm sorry, incorrect. That's the team car, and that would be Tommy Sneva out there all by himself. Schneider out in the back of the field. Now they're lining up for the start. That is Tom Sneva, who is looking for his first win of the season. A.J. Foyt is beside him as we get down to a start. 3 of the Penske cars are here. Rick Mears, winner of 2 events this year. Sneva, number 1 in the standings for the Penske team, and they come to the line, getting ready for the green flag. Out of turn 4. There's the start. Sneva presses, but coming to the lead is A.J. Foyt. his teammate. The field in turn 2. Foyt is your leader. Mears is in second.
It should be Rutherford third, right?
Be Johnny Rutherford in third.
Looks like Tom really didn't get a very good start.
Tom Sneva is in fourth. First 4 cars about 2 seconds apart, completing the first of 100 laps. Dallenbach running in fifth. Talk about speed. That's a good 200 miles an hour plus as they complete lap number 1, and A.J. Foyt is in front. A.J. wanted to say nothing about this controversy. That's Cliff Hugel pitting, the Canadian driver. Hugel pitting at the end of lap number 1. Field is in the backstretch.
Those Cosworths sound like a sheet ripping when they go by. You can tell the difference between the 8th and the 4th.
Now, that's not a Ford Cosworth that A.J. Foyt has. That's an engine he has developed himself, and it's running magnificently here today.
Gordon Johncock is making his way to the front, or he's gaining a great deal.
Gordon Johncock had started in 15th position. A.J. Foyt is just leaving the field. He has opened up almost a 2.5, 3-second advantage as they go down the back straightaway.
Gordy is 7th.
Gordon Johncock from 15th into 7th position. Here's your leader, A.J. Foyt at turn 3. The Foyt Coyote just skimming down through there. Ground effects of that car just holding it right down on the track. Battle is for second place. To the line, Rutherford is second. The Penske cars are side by side with Sneva on the inside. That's Mears on the outside, and Sneva goes back into third. Mears dropping to fourth.
2 Texans and a man from Spokane, Washington, then a California.
Coming around to complete lap number 4, A.J. Foyt, the all-time winner on the USAC Trail. The man who has won Indianapolis 4 times. Nobody else has done it. Here he comes.
He's really pouring on the coal.
Rutherford is second. Sneva running in third. Mears is in fourth. Wally Dallenbach is in fifth. And Gordon Johncock has really put his boot in it. He's pulled into 7th position from 15th at the start. A.J. Foyt, the amazing one, over 40 years of age, self-trained, beautiful driver, moving that steering wheel just about 8 degrees as he maneuvers through turn 3. He's into turn 4. And Super Texas looking super today. Battle for second place. Battle coming down for second place. Rutherford is being challenged. On the inside, it is Tom Sneva. And Sneva goes for second. Will he make it? He has Rutherford high. Tom Sneva now second.
Now it's going to be fuel mileage raising its head. These men are going to have to be able to make that 1.8 miles a gallon, or else.
How much fuel?
120 gallons total, including whatever is in the pits, in the lines, in the cars. Only 120.
5 laps down. There you see Roger Penske very concerned with 2 top cars. Remember, he had Mario Andretti driving here the last time. 1 car running very slowly. That would appear to be Vern Chupan's car, the Australian driver. He had some trouble out here in practice early. Is coming down into the pit road area. Drove at Indianapolis this year, his 10th USAC event. Vern Chupan, very good in Formula 5000, wants very much to drive these championship cars, and the Australian is now on pit road. A.J. Foyt is in the backstretch. Turn 3. And that's a good 205 miles an hour you're watching there by A.J. Foyt in a bumpy track. And Sheldon Kinser, who started on the back of the grid today, injured earlier this year and missed a couple of events. Sheldon Kinser, car number 24, is now on pit road. So the attrition rate begins to develop early out here today. Foyt stays in front, and nobody stays anywhere near him. He's just floating away from the field. Sneva's second, Rutherford third, Mears fourth, Wally Dallenbach fifth, Gordon Johncock more and more moving. He's up to 6th position now, just outside the top 5.
Announce.
Unser has just pitted. You're seeing him go back on the track. He was in for 15.5 seconds. Certainly an unscheduled stop for the winner of the Pocono 500, the Schaefer 500, and the Indy 500 this year. That Triple Crown of USAC. We're watching Johnny Parsons, number 16, coming in a bit early. Here's Parsons on pit road.
You could see him lock up his right front wheel as he tried to stop on the line.
Here's a guy who's due for a win.
You bet. He really is good.
Up in 6th position now, Bobby Unser, back to 7th, John Cock. Bobby Unser in the Dan Gurney car is running in 6th, and you were seeing some of the fabrication being taken off car number 16, the automobile number 16 of Johnny Parsons. And the troubles on number 2 continue. Whatever is plaguing Al Unser's effort today continues. Here he is in the Jim Hall car. Remember, he's going for the Triple Crown this year. He'll pull it off after having won at Pocono and at Indy if he wins the California 500.
They changed the wheels the first time, and they're trying to adjust the handling characteristics, but it doesn't look as though they've been able to accomplish what they're after.
More tire changes.
What an empty feeling.
Something's out of sync there. They'll keep working to try to get the thing back in balance. That's all they can do. And this track will really look at this and lap traffic up here. If we watch Unser come back on, the leader's coming down, and they're trapped on Dick Simon and the Tom Bagley car. A.J. Foyt trying to snarl his way through there. And Tommy Sneva, as A.J. had to come way out of it. Trapped in lap cars, he had a lead of 4 or 5 seconds. Sneva's gone around him. Tom Sneva has moved around and pulled away. Do you think something's happened to Foyt?
Certainly, look. Tommy just left him.
They came up on lap cars in turn 3. Foyt did not go through. Sneva closed as they came to turn 1. Here he is, working his way up into the lead. He's lapping Joe Saldano. Why do we see such sudden changes out here sometimes, Dan?
Well, I can only guess, Ken. I think possibly A.J. realizes that the fuel mileage is very difficult, and he needs an excuse to back down or a tactical move.
Well, right now, here's Unser again, running around on the bottom side of the track. Al Unser in that Lola Ford Cosworth, back on pit road still another time. Let's go to Paul.
Jim Hall, you're having problems with your machine. What's the problem? It's got some kind of a handling problem. Al can't determine exactly what it is. It's back in the pits again. Apparently it's got some kind of a tire problem or a suspension problem that's giving him trouble. He can't identify it, so we're going to try changing all the rubber, and we'll have another good look at it and see if we can get it running right.
Good luck. I hope you get it back in.
Thank you.
Jim Hall of Midland, Texas, one of the greats in American motorsport.
They're relegated to a test session now.
Pushing Unser back out as Sneva has taken the lead. A.J. Foyt now is in the 2nd position.
And they're trying different size tires on there to see if that can affect the handling.
Running 3rd is Johnny Rutherford. Showing 4th is Rick Mears by our count at the present time. Mears will be running in the 4th position, and up to 5th would come Gordon Johncock. Wally Dallenbach in 6th, and Bobby Unser is back in 7th. Coming down out of turn number 4, pulling up on the lapped automobile of Jim McElreath, about to be lapped, is the lead car of Tom Sneva, and directly behind him is A.J. Foyt, about 200 yards back. That's Jim McElreath, the 50-year-old elder statesman of this game, about to be overlapped by Sneva.
President-elect Obama's choice, then he deserves.
Unser is back in the pits. Al Unser is back in the pits another time, running very slowly. On the bottom of the track is Cannon. Boom, boom, Cannon. Isn't booming very well today. Back to Paul Page in the pits.
Here we have Johnny Parsons, Jr., a driver of one of the 4-cylinder cars. Johnny, you're out of the race. What happened?
Well, we're not sure. Maybe something with the mag, Paul. We had to run a lot of spark in it.